Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Today I would like to present a topic entitled Environmental Accounting in Non-Profit Organization. This is my current research interest and today I would like to share the review of literature that I have analyzed in which the literatures I focus on the past 10 years article and maybe a few from earlier period. So firstly, let me introduce you to environmental accounting. So what is environmental accounting? Environmental accounting is an accounting system that systematically identify, measure, and report environmental costs and activities to provide critical insights into an organizational ecological footprint. So environmental accounting integrates environmental consideration into conventional financial accounting. So by this, it allows organizations to assess the financial implication of their environmental performance. So why is it important? It is particularly crucial given that the escalating global concerns nowadays regarding environmental degradation, such as ozone depletion, resource overexploitation, and global warming. And my focus is on non-profit organization, means environmental accounting practice in non-profit organization. So what is non-profit organization or NPO? So NPO is an entity established to address societal needs or advance specific causes rather than to generate financial gains for private stakeholders. So this organization operate under what we term as non-distribution constraint, means that if they have any surplus income, they will reinvest that money into their mission-driven activities rather than distributed it as a profit or dividend to shareholders, which is totally different from profit organization. So they are typically organized for public benefit and they are self-governed and normally legally exempt from various taxes due to their philanthropic or communal activities. So non-profit organization activities can span a wide array of sectors, for example, social welfare, health, arts, culture, environmental protection, and animal welfare. And they normally fulfill vital tasks and functions that often complement or extend the reach of governmental services. Okay, so the question now is, does environmental accounting matters for non-profit organization? Okay, since non-profit organizations' fundamental characteristic totally different from profit business, since their primary objective is the pursuit of social purpose, whether it is need for them, there is a need for them to adopt environmental accounting. Okay, this question arises because environmental accounting research so far focus on profit-oriented entities. They are largely focused on profit-oriented entities. Why? Because when we talk about environmental accounting, normally literature shows that the adoption of this practice always justified primarily by financial gains. Yeah, so business adopt environmental accounting so that they can improve their financial performance, which is the objective is totally not in line with the objective of non-profit organization. So that's why we ask whether it is important for non-profit organization to also adopt environmental accounting. The answer for this question is yes. Consequently, the obligation is actually for all entities, including non-profit organizations, to adopt a robust environmental accounting practices. Okay? When we talk about environmental accounting aims to unveil explicit environmental costs associated with operational process. So they want to differentiate non-environmental expenses with environmental expenses. This is to establish a more transparent framework to optimize environmental impact. So by tracking this cost, organization can more effectively manage their interaction with the environment, and this can help to bolster their commitment towards social and environmental responsibility, and this is very in line with the objective of non-profit organization. So, my study aims to review and analyze the scholarly landscape of environmental accounting within non-profit organization, which is a domain that remains underexplored as compared to private counterpart. Okay, so this study seeks to identify key research trends, the influential authors, prominent publication, and emerging cluster that characterize this specialized field. So we hope that by this review, it can synthesize current knowledge, identify research gap, and probably suggest future directions for scholarly inquiry in this specialized area. Okay, so from my review, among the theme arise is the challenges or the environmental issues faced by non-profit organization. So for the past 10 years, we can see that the literature has increasingly examined the environmental footprint of organizational operations beyond the private sector. So they recognize that public and NGO entities play a significant role in environmental degradation as well as environmental improvement. So the literature from the past decade clearly demonstrate that both public sector and non-governmental organizations, which is these two considered as non-profit organizations, are not environmentally neutral actors. Despite their mission-driven nature, non-profit organizations also generate carbon emissions through their office, operation, travel, and program delivery. For example, the environmental NGOs, humanitarian organizations, and development agencies, they frequently rely on international travel, field operation, and logistics network, and these all contribute to emission. And one of the most significant environmental issues is energy consumption and associated greenhouse emission, okay, due to all these activities. For public entities, the governments, okay, they operate extensive building portfolios. Okay, for example, the offices, schools, hospitals, military facilities, and public housing. So all these facilities always rely on energy intensive heating, cooling, and lighting system. All these contribute substantially to national carbon emission. So on top of that, studies also show that public buildings are frequently less energy efficient than private sector counterpart. This is due to their aging infrastructure, rigid budgeting process in the governmental agency, and slow adoption of green technologies in this kind of organizations. So it is found that public sector also generate large volume of solid waste, water pollution, and hazardous materials through their service delivery activities. For example, healthcare services. They produce medical and chemical waste that pose risk to ecosystem if improperly managed. So another example, the municipal operations. They include waste collection, street maintenance, and water treatment. Also contribute to land, air, and water pollution when the systems are inefficient or outdated. Okay, meanwhile, non-governmental organization or NGO, they generate waste through their office activities, event organization, relief distribution, and program implementation. Okay, for example, the humanitarian NGOs, they produce significant waste streams, including packaging material, single-use plastic, and medical waste during emergency responses. So in summary, studies over the past decade have highlighted a paradox in which organizations delivering essential social or environmental services, they unintentionally contribute to environmental pollution. Okay. However, the scale and visibility of impacts differ because public sector environmental effects are often large scale and systemic, while the non-governmental agencies impact non-governmental organization impact tends to be project-based and context-specific. But importantly, both sectors face a legitimacy challenge. Okay, their environmental footprints can undermine their moral authority in promoting sustainability to the citizens. Therefore, environmental accounting is needed, okay, because environmental accounting can allow for a comprehensive understanding of an organization's true operating expenses and facilitates more informed decision making towards sustainable practices. So, for non-profit organizations, this integration can enhance their transparency and accountability to donors and beneficiaries. So, demonstrate a commitment to environmental stewardship alongside their primary mission. However, the specific application and evolution of these accounting practices within the non-profit sector often present unique challenges and considerations. So this warrant a focus examination on this particular field. Yeah, for example, even though non-profit entities are expected to model best practices, okay, but their operational constraints often limit waste reduction initiatives. Okay, so on the other team, environmental accounting research in the public sector and NGO is theoretically rich and they are multidisciplinary. Okay, so this table shows several theories always used by various actors in the past literature regarding environmental accounting or sustainability accounting in non-profit organization with institutional theory as the most frequently used theoretical framework in environmental accounting studies in this sector. Okay, so institutional theory originate from DiMaggio and Powell 1983, explain organizational behavior as a response to coercive, normative, and mimetic pressure rather than efficiency alone. So studies that use institutional theory to explain why public sector entities adopt sustainability reporting or environmental accounting system even when the direct economic benefits are unclear. Okay, so in non-profit organization, institutional pressure always arises from their donors, international agencies, and professional norms, yeah, leading NPOs to adopt environmental accounting practices to conform to the sector expectation. Okay, we can see also some environmental accounting studies in the public sector draw on new public management theory or NPM that emphasize the efficiency, performance measurement, and managerial control. So under NPM, environmental accounting is viewed as a tool to improve efficiency, reduce waste, and manage environmental costs. And more recent studies adopt public value theory, which emphasize societal outcomes rather than efficiency alone. So with this theory, environmental accounting is framed as a mechanism to support sustainable public value creation, including environmental protection and intergenerational equity. So, based on all this theoretical framework used by writers to explain why organizations adopt or resist environmental accounting, how environmental accounting is implemented, and what role it plays in accountability and governance. So, we can see that research in this area commonly draw on theories from sociology, political economy, and organizational studies rather than purely economic theory. So this reflects that non-profit and public sectors emphasis on legitimacy, public value, ethics, and stakeholder accountability. So, in conclusion of this analysis, we can say that while the broader field of environmental and sustainability accounting has been substantially growth, a specific focus on its implementation and challenges within non-profit organizations remain an emerging area, and this require further exploration. So the unique mission-driven nature and diverse stakeholder of non-profit organization necessitates a distinct approach to environmental accounting research to differentiate it from the analysis that normally focus on corporate entities. So furthermore, the analysis identify emerging thematic cluster and collaborative network that signify interdisciplinary engagement. Okay, so future research should consider to incorporate other environmental factors such as ecosystem and biodiversity into the accounting framework for NPO, as these elements are crucial for a holistic understanding of environmental impact for non-profit organizations. So my analysis also reveals that while environmental management accounting or environmental accounting is a developing discipline, but it still faces challenges in becoming a mainstream field, with many publications appearing outside traditional accounting journals. So this suggests a need for greater integration of environmental accounting research within core accounting discourse to enhance its visibility and influence on practice. Um, Future studies also should investigate the specific drivers and barriers to environmental accounting adoption within non-profit sector itself. As I mentioned earlier, non-profit can be categorized into public entities and non-governmental organizations. So these two have different organizational characteristic and external pressure. So currently, existing literature frequently investigate environmental and sustainability accounting within public sector entities only. So they normally explore how to account for environmental issues and provide adequate information to integrate financial data with sustainability metrics in public entities. So despite this, a significant gap remains in thoroughly exploring environmental accounting within NGO, okay, which often operate under different accountability framework and financial structure as compared to public sector. So this gap necessitates a dedicated analysis to uncover the unique challenges faced by NGOs in adopting and implementing environmental accounting practices. So this would provide valuable insights into how mission-driven organizations can better integrate environmental consideration into their financial reporting and strategic planning. Um, This inquiry will also benefit from examining the extent to which current regulatory framework in specific jurisdiction either can facilitate or impede the integration of environmental accounting in non-profit organizations. Thereby, it can inform policy recommendation. Moreover, in-depth analysis of stakeholder engagement strategies in driving environmental accounting adoption within non-profit could also bring out the effective approaches to garner support and resources for environmental initiative for this kind of organization. And last but not least, this study has also identified several theories used in environmental accounting research, as I mentioned earlier. Together, these theories emphasize that environmental accounting in non-profit organization is not merely a technical exercise, but it is a socially and politically embedded practice shaped by legitimacy concern, stakeholder relationship, and power dynamics. So, future research is likely to benefit from theoretical integration, and you combine institutional explanation with accountability and public value perspective to better capture both symbolic and substantive dimensions of environmental accounting. So I guess that is all from me today. I hope you can benefit from my sharing. Thank you for listening. Bye.